We're going to be hearing in a moment from Beth from the Elm Grove neighborhood in Kingwood. She is the homeowners association with the HOA out there, and we'll get to hear more about the issues they're dealing with. We do have a call with us. We're just going to get to this in just a moment. I'd like to give a little background. Myself, I went to Kingwood recently, the Elm Grove neighborhood, last Friday just to meet some people. You know, we're living in Houston, caring about what other Houstonians are dealing with. And
some people don't go out of their neighborhood.
Some people don't. We stay in our own little bubbles, and it's important. I will admit, I'd never been to this neighborhood before, but I was thankful to come out there. Shout out to Chris Betts, who is the one who invited me, and to all the other great people I met. We're going to bring on the line right now a woman, Beth, who is with the Homeowners Association of the Elm Grove neighborhood in Kingwood. Beth, are you with us?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right, well, go ahead. Let's get right into it. We've got a few moments with you. I was just telling everybody a little bit about the Elm Grove neighborhood, but our audience for the moment doesn't know what's happening out there. So fill us in. You are with the HOA, correct?
Yes, sir, I am. In May, we had a very big surprise when we had a freak rainstorm, and all of a sudden I had 197 houses underwater, and it was very unexpected. And upon looking at it, it seemed like the subdivision that was built next to ours, which was built by Perry Homes and several subsidiaries that seemed to be attached to them, had not put a solid flood plan in place. And as a result, that water came rushing through our neighborhood, through the drainage ditch, as well as sheet flow back into others of our streets. So we looked at it. We talked to Dave Martin's office. Dave Martin came out.
And Dave Martin's the counselor?
He's our councilman. He's our representative here in Kingwood. Came out, started working on the problem, and he's been fantastic. They started working on it. Several of my homeowners several meaning probably well over 150, are involved in a suit against Perry Homes and the subsidiaries. And in August, it seems like they just went away and stopped working and never dug in the retention system and the ponds that they were supposed to. As a result, when Imelda came along, we got another big pile of rain, and this time all the houses that flooded the first time flooded a second time with an additional foot of water in their houses, and we added about another 150 homes that flooded. I think our estimate right now is about 350 to 375 homes that has flooded as a result of Imelda. So we're in big trouble. I've had homeowners flood twice now. Everybody has money for the first disaster. Most people don't have money for the second disaster.
So let's get a little bit more background here, Beth, if you don't mind.
No, sir. Whatever you need.
So for those who are unaware, Kingwood was annexed by the city of Houston, correct?
Yes, it is.
So
what's interesting about this is that the people that built the next subdivision, they put it in Montgomery County, and when Harris County Flood came out to look at it, they said, "Miss Guide, we can't help you. It's with 6 inches inside the Montgomery County line." So those rules are very lax. I was just up at Montgomery County on Tuesday, spoke to their commissioner's court, but they don't have the same rules based on population as Harris County. So a lot of the protections that we would have been afforded are not applicable here. I seem to have a bunch of government people all stepping on each other, and nobody knows how to interact with each other to actually protect my subdivision. So we have become the retention pond for a village called Woodridge Village and Woodridge Forest. So we're now the retention pond for it. And unless somebody steps in and can step up to the plate and get this fixed, these people are going to continue to flood.
And so when you say you're the retention pond for these other neighborhoods, you mean these neighborhoods are being built, and now that through the construction, when it rains, those neighborhoods are protected, but it floods into your own neighborhoods, correct?
Absolutely. That is exactly what I mean. And if I look at Woodridge Forest 1, I'm going to make the case that that neighborhood was elevated by about 5 feet from the best I can tell. In doing so, it put it in a non-flood plain. The problem is although that neighborhood doesn't flood, they made the water and directed the water. It runs right down into North Park, which, frankly, for all of Kingwood, that's a main drag. You'll never be able to get an emergency vehicle up and down that roadway at this point in a heavy rainstorm. It literally, the water's over the road and it's a raging river. Yeah. So there's multiple problems going on. My homeowners are under great duress. And I'm going to say that, and I've been out fighting this problem since May. It's only been exacerbated here since September. So I've got to say the fight has gotten bigger, broader, and it's not getting any better because I think nobody really knows what to do, which is the unfortunate part about this.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I had the pleasure of coming into your community, and again, thank you guys for being so welcoming this past Friday. But I mean, it really is quite heart-wrenching and frustrating to hear residents say, hey, we've lived here 30 years and never flooded. We made it through Harvey. We made it through, previous storms. And now with these recent changes you're describing to us, people who are flooding, and, I saw the videos, I saw some of the pictures and everything that people are still dealing with. What's the big takeaway that you'd like our listeners to hear right now? I know there was talks of organizing some type of protest. Like, how can people who are hearing this and want to support in some way, how can they help out?
Well, I think, we're always taking our donations, so that would be one way. But as far as your audience goes, what I would like them to do is as we put out more and more material and let people know, the more you can help me push that word out. I mean, I believe that there's a video out there right now that kind of demonstrates the hypocrisy of Perry Homes and how, they tell you they're great, we're great for communities, and we build communities people want to live in. They forget it seems to me that they're, in my opinion, forgetting to tell the other side where they're flooding their next door neighbors. And, that video, keep pushing it out. I think maybe there may be more coming out. If it does, push those out. Anything that's coming out that will help us get the word out that these people are being less than above board as they're braggadociously saying they're over $1 billion. They're destroying people. But here's my biggest problem with it. They're destroying working people that did the right thing and bought a house and paid their house off, and they're sending their kids through college, and they're veterans, they're elderly, they're working moms, they're nurses, they're teachers. And one thing that I keep coming up against is people here at Kingwood, and they think, oh, it's just the rich people complaining. When I tell you my neighborhood is anything but rich, I cannot even begin to. We're a very diverse neighborhood, and I think you saw that sitting there at that table, that we were a diverse bunch of people. There's, like I said, single moms, working people, truck drivers. We're not doctors and lawyers. We're just working stiffs and trying to do the best. They are destroying people's lives, in my opinion. Again, first, my opinion, but destroying people's lives.
Well, I really appreciate all the information that you're bringing to the audience, Beth, and absolutely, Freethinker Radio and KPFT is a home for this kind of information, so news and things people aren't going to necessarily hear on their local TV stations. Obviously, you said that you have had some help with the local council member, but I want to make one other thing clear before we wrap this up. So the city of Houston had to issue a permit for this project, correct?
All right, this is going to get a little tricky. Do we have a minute to explain this?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So there is an ETJ, and the city of Houston did have to do it under the stormwater piece of it. Unfortunately, when we looked into how to utilize the city's ETJ, which would have extended the rules and the regulations into Montgomery County, it so turns out that the Supreme Court of Texas actually requires the annexation laws to kick in, and not to get too heady. You actually have to have a promise of non-annexation, which is a very long process to put through the city of Houston. So their ETJ means nothing, is the bottom line. So there's all these laws, Derek, that are out there that when you actually try to say, hey, can we enforce it this way, I find out that there's no teeth, there's no proper permitting, there's nobody to back it. They fired the person, I don't know if they fired her. The person that's responsible for the Montgomery County situation seems to not be there. If you called on the phone, she's not there. Nobody knows where she went. So that's why I say fired, because I think she probably was let go. But that's my supposition. So it's just this endless list of things. I mean, literally, I have talked to county agencies, local agencies, the city of Houston. I am now on to the Army Corps of Engineers with wetlands because they were disturbed. So I have that. So that's in process. And then the biggest thing that I've noticed from a government standpoint is that there is a environmental agency that's called TECQ, and I can't get them to budge. They keep trying to push it back to Montgomery County instead of, it's just a gigantic mess. And there is no oversight in this whatsoever, which is what I find to be the most amazing of all, is that they are allowed to do this with impunity, and there doesn't seem to be anything anybody can do to All the government cannot stop it. And oh, by the way, your friend Sylvester, MIA. So I just wanted to point that out too, because I know you and him are really good friends.
You're
just
right.
want to let you. He's MIA.
You're right about that. Well, we're going to leave it there for the moment. I will definitely, we're going to make sure to post on the Freethinker Radio page more information as you guys send it. We'll continue to post videos. And as I said before, if there is a protest or something planned in the near future or whenever it happens, please reach out, either through Chris or whoever, and we'll make sure to bring you back or whoever wants to come share, because these are the kind of things that happen to Houstonians. And Houston is such a big place, right? People don't necessarily think of, oh, Kingwood, that's, my neighbors. But if we're all here in this city, and if Houston decided to annex Kingwood, well, these are our neighbors, and so these are the things that they are dealing with right now in this moment.
They absolutely did. They annexed us, and they've kind of left us out here and unattended. So it's just we cannot, other than our councilman, we've got zero support from City Hall at this point.
They left you unattended, but I bet they still collect that property tax, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think the last figure I saw was like $50 to $75 million a year with zero reinvestment back into the community.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Well, thank you for your time, Beth. We appreciate you coming on the show, and we will keep up with this.
Thank you, Derek. I really appreciate all your efforts on our behalf and your interest in our story. It's quite refreshing to have you and everything you had to say. I really appreciated it.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
And see, I think this is one of the reasons right there. That's just a small example in some ways, but a very poignant example of why KPFT is important. Nowhere else are you going to hear people speaking about these things, speaking about their lived experiences. So thank you for calling in. Thank you for sharing that, for sure.
So if they bring their concerns about health or privacy, would you be willing to listen to those?
I'm always willing to listen, but I tell you what, let's pick this up at another time.
Perhaps at City Council, maybe next time you talk
can.
about it. I've been waiting to hear your opinion on 5G, sir.
I know you have been.
This is the only chance I really get with you.
Yeah.
I still got it on audio. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I know you have been.
But